Hello and welcome to Paper Plays Julie K.
Thanks so much for stopping by. I'm thrilled to have you guys here today to share my latest design team project for AngeldreamCraftsKim on Etsy. Again, Kim's store is a beautiful store that sells laces and trims, appliques, blings, doilies, flowers, paper, embellishments, just to name some of the items. And if you guys open up that description box below, I do have a link for the store. So if you are interested in purchasing any of the items that I share with you guys today, you can purchase them there. I also have links for other social media sites for Angel Dream Crafts. If you're on Instagram or Facebook, I have those links. And then I also have links for the other talented ladies who are participating in the design team. So I highly recommend checking them out. For today's project, I did decide to alter a file folder and make it into a pocket that holds a couple of embellishments and then also a little journal, a writing journal. And I'm just going to hold up the pocket real close so you guys can see the altered file folder pocket that I created. All the beautiful laces and trims. Kim's shop does carry all sorts of wonderful dangle trims and smaller trims. And doilies and bling flowers in her shop. And then here's the back side where I created a couple of pockets and put some embellishments inside of them. But again, here's a little glance at some of the trims in Angel Dream Crafts. And again, for this altered file folder, I did use a basic file folder. I did decide to add a little gusset on the side so that I could house my journal. And I also use an old paper collection from Stamperia. I do apologize, I don't remember the name of it, but it was a lot of paper with the word lavender on it. And so I'm kind of calling this project like lavender and violets, just because I use some violet trim also from Kim's shop that I'm in love with on this project, which is this trim right back here. It's such beautiful trim. So to start with, I am going to share with you guys everything that I use on the front and then the back, and then we'll go ahead and dig into the journal, which I'll just pull out so you guys can glance at that real quick also. Again, it's just kind of a basic writing journal. It's a lot of space in it for writing, but I did add a couple of embellishments and laces and trims to it. So we'll get into that journal in just a minute, but let's look at the altered file folder. And so that's kind of what it looks like. So when you look at the bottom, you can see all sorts of wonderful laces and trims. All of these trims do come from Angel Dream Crafts. Some of them were from my current design team package. Some were from past design team packages. I did choose to dye a number of the laces and trims that I'm sharing with you guys today to make them work for my project. I really wanted this to be lots of purples on this project. And if you look at the back, you can just kind of see this beautiful trim. It's a kind of a cotton trim with fringe on it. There is purple and kind of some silver sparkles in it. It's a gorgeous trim. And that one is hanging on the back side. So we'll look at that one closer when we're on the back side. One of the fun dangle trims in Kim's shop is some different leaf ones, and this is this particular one. This one was left over from a past design team project. I think I have a little snippet still left of that one. It looks like this right here. And I did choose to kind of dye it that pink purple color right there. And then on top of that, I used this trim right here, this other purple one that I dyed. And that one came from this one right here. This was a fun trim to use. And for this particular trim right here, I opted, just so there wasn't so much bulk at the bottom, I just snipped it off right here. And I just used the dangle part. And then I chose to use the different top pieces. I used some of these on my altered notebook that I created earlier this month. And then I also used this trim separately up here on a couple different spots in this project. So this was a very versatile trim. And it looks completely different when you dye it another color. So I have it right there, and then I also have it hanging from this little circle medallion right here that I created also. And I dyed that in a slightly different color right there. And then on top of that, I use this beautiful little rose trim. This is a perfect trim for edging out images or using as is, but it also works perfectly to cut up and just use the little bits and pieces too. And I have just a small snippet left of that one to share with you guys. But that was a really fun one. And what was nice about this one too is that it is kind of a pink color, but once you add it to purple, it definitely looks more purple than pink. But if you were to add it to a pink project, it's going to highlight all the pinks. So it's a very fun trim. And then on top of this, of course, you can see I have some layers of cardstock. And then I also created a pocket at the top here. So I'll pull that out, and this is a journal card that I created so you can journal on the back side. And then I created a little pocket here with a tag in it. And then from a past design team project, I did have some of these flowers, which came off of a trim. And I do have some of that left. And I know Kim is, I believe, working on getting this back in her shop. So if it's not in there now, hopefully it'll be in there soon. But the trim looks like this. And it is a fun trim to work with. It's definitely one of those ones that screams out to be cut up and used. So that's how I've always chosen to use it, is to cut it up and use the flowers and layer them up. And then, of course, on here, I also took it a step further and I did dye them. I do get a lot of questions about how I dye my stuff. And I will use like stamp pad re-inkers to dye my stuff, or glimmer mists, ink sprays. Once in a while I'll buy that RIT dye, but most of the time I just use whatever I have in my crafty stash. You can, of course, dye things with tea or avocado or different fruits and stuff too, to dye things. So I do have that journal card in there. And then again, if you look at the very top, you can see some of that beautiful violet trim. And then the little circles behind there came off of this trim that I just showed you guys. It's just this little piece right here. And I just kind of call that my desk cleanup after I make most of it. Then I see what I still have left for snippets sitting on my desk, and then I try to incorporate as much as I can into my project. So that's what you see there. And then even up here is that same trim without the dangles on it, and I added the violet. And again, that trim looks like this right here, which is a very fun trim to work with. I love that trim. And then on the rest of this little medallion, I have the purple tulle trim, and it's 2 layers of tulle. Very nicely put together, and it's gathered, so it makes it really easy to make flowers or edge things out like I did here. She does carry that in different colors, and I believe she also has kind of another fun one too that's kind of gathered like this with little polka dots on it that's white. And then if you look on top of that, you see a partial piece of doily that I did dye into a dark purple color, and I'll show you guys that one also. So it started off looking like this, and I went ahead and dyed it. So here's one that I dyed, but it's a different color of purple, and I just didn't use this one. And then next I went ahead and I literally cut around that piece. So I cut out around there, and I snipped it also down the side, and then I kind of used it as like a crochet trim instead of using it as a doily. I just was trying to keep some of the bulk out, and then you can use these pieces for other things down the road. I was going to try and find a spot to use this somewhere in my project today, but I ended up not using it, so I just wanted to show you how I cut out the middle and just use that part on the journal. And she does sell grab bags of doilies and sets of doilies. This time it came in a set. I got quite a few of these, and then also the little connector pieces, which I didn't grab those. I didn't use any of those in the project today, but the little connector pieces are fun to use if you're going to layer up and make flowers out of your doilies. And then again, this beautiful rose trim right here, I edged the image out. And then on top of that, you can see I add some flower stamens. There's bling and some flowers, and then also some pearls up at the top. And I wanted to show you guys, Kim does now carry flowers in her shop in quite a few different colors. And so these ones did start off as a white color, so they started off like this. And again, I just dyed them again using the glimmer mists, and they turned out so beautiful, I thought. And then I went ahead and added a piece of bling from her shop right there just to kind of finish off that little flower cluster. And that's what that particular bling looks like. It's one of my favorite ones in her shop. These are really fun for centers of flowers also. And again, that violet trim up there, if we go ahead and look at the back of the pocket, the violet trim, I use some more of that. And then this pretty purple trim, which is that trim right there. It's cotton trim with a little fringe on it. And it does have a little bit of sparkle in it, which is lovely. And then inside the pockets, I just use some of the paper from the collection. And again, I just use remnants left over from the overall project to finish them off. So you can see here I added the little violet from Kim's shop. And that was from that violet trim that I cut up. I have some eyelash trim, and then I have some basic trim that I had on the side that I got from my mom. And I did dye that purple, and it just has paper on the inside to journal on. So both of those are very similar, just the paper is slightly different. And then in that paper collection from Stamperia, they had this little envelope thing for journaling on. And so I did choose to use a little bit. This came off of that dangle trim, this one right here, just the top piece right here. And when I had dyed it for some of the stuff down here, I had cut that piece off, and it just worked nice to edge that little envelope. So you could do this on a bigger scale with a bigger envelope, and then another little violet from that violet trim. I also quickly decorated 2 glassine bags, again just using up scraps from my design team package. So here was part of that doily that I had dyed, and then I layered on top one of the violets, and then I had a small piece of that tulle trim left, that purple tulle trim, so I just added that there. And then right here, this little flower came off of an applique that I used, and I used that piece on the journal, but here was part of the applique that I had left over. I had cut it up so you can see the little flowers right there. And again, I had dyed those particular pieces. And on the inside, they're just some flower and little tags here with the lavender, and I added the flowers again from the applique that I had dyed. This one I add eyelash trim to it. And I added some seam binding at the top, which I don't think I mentioned that before, but Kim is starting to carry some seam binding in her store, which is really fun. It's always perfect for closures on journals and adding to tags. So that's the back side of my little altered file folder. Now to look at the journal that I created. This back piece right here was part of that applique that I just showed you guys, that I did dye purple. And then earlier I also showed you that flower trim. So I left one piece white and I dyed the purple ones kind of some different colors. I did add a flat back pearl. And this trim on the side was an older trim from Kim's shop that I just had a remnant left over. And so I did go ahead and add that for my spine. And then some seam binding. And then also, you can see, I edged it with that beautiful rose trim from her store. And again, this is kind of a really basic journal. I didn't do a ton of decorating. There's just a little bit of decorating in this one. On the sides here, it's all some basic white trim lace that I had in my stash that my mom gave me, and I chose to dye it purple when I was dyeing all the other items purple. And so on here, again, that flower trim that I layered up on top of the tag, it's a tag with a little journaling spot, and you can open it up and journal. And this was left over from that dangle trim that I just reversed. This was normally the top, and I just put it down at the bottom. So it was this part up here on this trim that I just edged it down there. I thought that was really pretty. And added a little butterfly paper clip just to keep it closed. So for the inside of the journal, it is a writing journal, so there's lots of blank spaces in it. I did use a digital kit that matched nicely with the Stamperia paper. It was a violet kit, and I'll leave that in the description box below if you guys are wanting to know the name of that one. I can't remember it off the top of my head. I've had it in my stash for a while. And I did add a couple more pieces using Kim's stuff from AngeldreamCrafts. So I did use some of the pieces from the Stamperia paper collection, and I added some laces and trims. All these are remnants left over from past design team projects. And then I added that beautiful violet trim right there with a little bit of eyelash trim. And these are a hidden paper clip, so if you pull it out, the paper clip's hidden in there, and it just hooks onto the page. So there's the front side of that one. And then the back side's decorated also with a remnant from a past design team project. And then the beautiful little violet underneath there. And this one I had a little tag left over. I was trying to use up all the paper too as I was going to, so I didn't have any scraps left. So I tried to use all of my scraps of laces and trims and also the scraps of the paper. And I'll hold that up close for that trim. And I don't know if she still has this one in her shop or not. But it's another light, nice trim. This one might have been a vintage trim that she was carrying in her shop. I'm not sure though. And keep on kind of going. Like I said, I just left all my papers kind of blank. So whoever gets this can do what they want with the journal. I did add a little tab up here. That was just using up one of the paper scraps. And again, here I added some flag banner pieces that you could stick a journaling card or a tag or something underneath them. And I added, just to kind of finish off the look, I added a little piece of that violet trim. Another one of those paper clips, hidden paper clips. Adding more trim to it. The trim for my mom. And then this was a trim that I had last year that I just absolutely adored from Kim's shop. So maybe someday she'll get it back in. I think I used it on a Christmas project. But that was my last little snippet I had. And so I added it there because it was the perfect size for this. And again, another little dangle trim from Kim's shop. And I added the little violet on top of it. And just, again, it's a hidden paper clip, so it just hooks on the bottom and you can use it as a pocket. And there's the back side. I didn't have a tag to put in there or a journal card. And then I think this is the last item that I added into the journal. And again, I was cleaning up paper scraps, so I just kind of layered them up. Added just a little bit of that dangle trim piece and another one of the violets. And I made a tab with the paper and then stuck my last tag in there that I had. And I did use some shiny paper that I had in my stash. That's kind of pretty just to add to it. Instead of just using plain paper, I used some shiny kind of sparkly paper. I think the camera's picking it up, that purple and the kind of teal color. And then on the last page, I did cut up a piece of the Stamperia paper, edged it with some more of that trim for my mom. And on the top, I added some more of that flower trim and another little tab, and it's just a little journaling card that you can use. And then that's the back side. And then for my closure, again, I did use some seam binding, which Kim is carrying some seam binding in her shop now, which is really fun. I think hers is hand dyed. I did choose to dye this one too when I was dyeing my flowers. I stuck this seam binding that I had in my stash. And then the last thing I forgot to show you guys, and I can't believe I almost forgot that because these are really cute. Kim does carry a lot of charms in her shop, and she had these really pretty birds. And I got this idea from Karen Billinger, who is also on the design team, on a little project that she made. She'd added beads and then she hung the little charms to them. So I did that for the middle of my signature and hung those cute little bird charms. And I did pull a couple out because you do receive several in the package. And so here's some pink and teal ones that I didn't use So I'll just hold those up close so you guys can see how cute they are. Just adorable. So that is my completed design team project for AngeldreamCraftsKim on Etsy. Again, I do have links for everything from her store to her social media listed below in the description box. So make sure you guys check that out. And until next time, I hope you guys all have a wonderful day and happy crafting.